Good evening, all. Hope everybody's well. Juicy, haven't seen you in a while. How are you? Scott Free, how you doing? Tony, Kev. Working on this chinned Dublin. The nice, very nice clean plateau. And some lovely grain. With a nice wood band there, which I'm not sure what wood that is, but it's really nice grain. You can't go out between 9 and 5. Wow. That is a lock, isn't it? How's it going, Kev? What are you getting up to? You know what I've realized recently is that I don't use the block as much as I used to. Not sure why. I think I just seem to prefer to have the feel of it. You're on the night shift. You stream quality is not good. Hey Jack, let me just check. I'm scared to go off the screen. Whenever I do that, it messes up. Tigerwood? Could be. It is a very, very, very nice piece of briar, this one. It's got some, I don't know how much you'll pick up, but you can see all that grain there. Hey Gavin. Gavin, was it you who asked me for something pink? I couldn't remember who it was. Did you see the pipe I made the other day with the pink shank extension? I think what was happening was my phone was streaming using data rather than my Wi-Fi. I put it onto flight mode, so the data's gone and it's now connected to the Wi-Fi, so it's probably better. Yeah, no worries, Jack. So did you see that pipe, Gavin? Did you see the one with the pink extension? Because I had you in mind when I made it. How did you communicate with me? Was it on Instagram or was it by email? I don't remember. So I'll send you the pictures. I mean, you can look it up on my channel, you'll see it. It was via email, okay. Do pits and other floors have something to do with my decision to rusticate? For sure. No question about that. I used to do a lot more rustications than I do now. I've been generally quite lucky with the quality of the briar that I have, and also the way I stain my pipes. It camouflages a lot of the sort of little marks that you get sometimes. It's not done to be surreptitious. It's just done to sort of absorb those flecks, if you like. If it would be a proper sand pit, then it would more than likely get rusticated. Unless it's really small, then as I say, you can absorb it in the staining process. Hey Skip, how you doing? Hey Charlie, thank you. Yes, we are a new grandpa for the fourth time. My eldest daughter had a baby girl on Friday. So, hey James. So I've got two married couples and they've each got two kids, hence the four grandchildren. I used to absolutely hate doing sanding by hand. I used to try and do as much as I could on the wheel, but I've gotten used to it and I actually enjoy it. Well, I wouldn't say enjoy it, but it's really not a chore anymore. It just, you kind of get into a zone and you kind of almost get into a trance and you just keep at it. Well, the one that I did was an apple, a bent apple. With a bit of a quirk, I suppose you could call it, on the shank extension. Have you seen the pipe, Gavin? Hey PBD, how you doing? For the bowl drilling, what type of bits do you use? Then for the drilling of the shank, what size bits do you use for 9mm? Well, I can't give out all the secrets, but for I'll show you the bits. Hold on, let me move that. So is that your kind of thing, Gavin, or not your kind of thing? Okay, so that's the drill bit for the chamber. I've got three different sizes. I've got 18, 20, and 22. I also have some other types of bits, but I use these the most. I've got some of the, you know, the more expensive ones. You know, the smaller ones with the, you know, the Japanese ones. But I prefer to use these. And I've got regular wood bits, but these are by far the ones that I use the most. This is the bit that I use for most of the shanks, unless it's a long shank, and then I use specialized long ones like that. And for the mortise, I use that. But it's nothing technical. Well, if you do like that, Gavin, let me know if it's of interest. And for the bit, I use some of these very, very thin jeweler's needle files, and they're very handy. They're actually not very strong. They break quite a bit. Lakelands, Gavin, seriously? I thought you were a sensible man. Oh no, not a Lakelands. Got a beautiful band here. This wood, as I say, I'm not too sure what this is. Somebody said tiger wood. but I have to look it up on the website. But it's got lovely grain. It's almost like a diffused grain, and I try to, I get them in blocks like that, and I cut it in the most interesting part. Once it's highly polished, that should look awesome. And the joint, once again, is absolutely, it's non-existent. It's so flush. I'm so pleased with that. It was such a big issue for me not being able to make these bands before, and I really did think that it couldn't be done without a metal lathe, but I've kind of taught myself how to get that straight edge, and it's really very, very pleasing. I've got to keep one of these for myself. I haven't yet. Yes, all resolved, Charlie. Thank you very much for passing on that email. Definitely seems to have some issues with his thumb, or somebody else's thumb anyway. But yeah, he seems to be a lovely fellow. Haven't really interacted with him that long, but certainly seems to be a very nice guy from the interactions that I've had with him. I hope it was okay sending you the email. It's just the fact that he contacted you. I assume you guys are friends. Hey, Fliv. Thanks, Charlie. Whenever I say your name, Charlie, I think of that mafia film. It's business, Charlie. You know it's business. What film is that? Pop quiz. Angelica Houston. No, not Carlito's Way. Older than that. Jack Nicholson's in that film. I can't remember it myself, but when somebody says the name, I'll remember it. It's a wicked film. Hey, Heatham, how you doing? Hope you're well. Haven't seen you for a while. Comments. One of you guys must have Googled by now. There you go, Chad, my man. Preetzi's Honor. Oh yeah, what a film. Haven't seen it in ages. I used to have the DVD. It's knocking around somewhere. I've got no idea where. I like those old films. Once Upon a Time in America. Those are my kind of films. Obviously, The Godfather. Un, deux, trois. It's looking good. So it's going to be up like that, bent, and that's going to be bent back. It's going to be awesome. Yeah. One of Robert De Niro's better films. He's actually quite a funny actor as well in the comedies that he's played. I think it's because of his serious characters that he's done before. That's kind of part of the irony of his comic characters that he plays, and that's used to good effect in most of the films, I think. Goodfellas, yeah, that's another good one. Goodfellas, I think, was the first film that I saw in the cinema in my teens or late teens. Chad improving, why? You not well, Chad? Seven. Probably seen that. Is that with Brad Pitt? Is that the one where somebody gets their head chopped off and putting them in a box or something? Morgan Freeman. Morgan Freeman. What a great actor. No, that was a bad voice. Gwyneth Paltrow. Right, this plateau is pretty clean, but I'm just going to clean out the few little spots. I need to decide what I'm doing with this pipe. Stain, virgin. I don't know, it's got some great grain. It's just got phenomenal grain. I just need to decide what I'm doing with this. Hey 907, how you doing? Lemon. So how's everybody's Christmas preparations going? Do I mix my own pigment like Mike does? Like Mike who? Oh, Billington. I didn't know that he mixes the pigment, but the old, well, let me say old, but I mean it's basically the same thing. It's leather dye in kind of the same kind of idea, which you get in powder form, and you just mix it with alcohol. But no, I don't. I do mix, but I don't do it straight from the pigment, from the powder. I use the Phoebings. I've got 3 different brands of dye that I use. I've got Phoebings, I've got Chestnut, and there's another one, I can't remember the name right now. Chestnut is a British brand, Phoebings is American, and there's another, a third one, which is a British brand. And I use them for different, depending on what I'm doing. But I use the Phoebings most. And occasionally I'll mix it if I want to get a bit more of a fiery look to it, a bit more of a reddish kind of, you know, red, orangey, fiery kind of color. But most of the time, I get the colors and shades and hues that I want from the staining process. How far I go with it, how much I take off, how much I leave on, how thick I do it to start with. Each of those processes makes a difference It also makes a big difference in the briar itself. Oftentimes the briar will um, be the deciding factor, because a lot of briar you get can be quite red, can quite like, almost like a rusty color. Some of it's really nice and bright like that, and that's a nice blank canvas to work with. But sometimes it's really dark, and no matter what you do, you can't get it to stain up nicely. So in those ones, you just go with a darker stain and it's fine. .218. I don't recall that one. And Gavin said he was enjoying, what was it, 240? I need to go and have a look. Hang on. I always like to know what people are smoking because I don't remember the shapes. Not usually. But if somebody tells me that they're enjoying it, I do feel that I want to see it and picturize. Picturize? Visualize. Visualize what they are smoking. LCS. Natural apple. Oh, you got the big one with the green stem, did you? Yes, you did. Gorgeous pipe, that one. I couldn't understand why it didn't sell straight away, that one. You got yourself a lovely pipe there. Nice thick walls, beautiful shape. Even if I say so myself. And 218 LCS pipe. 218. Aha, another one which sat around for a while. A stunning pipe. Is that the Dublin? Hang on. Yeah, that's the Plateau Dublin. And that one is probably, I would say that that's an excellent smoker. You could tell me yourself, but if I remember correctly, I remember the briar, I remember the drill, the balance of the pipe, um, classic shape, nice grain, and you tell me. My babies, exactly. You, that's no underestimation, I'll tell you that now. It's certainly in the last 20 pipes, I would say, 20 to 30 pipes, it's been extremely hard for me to depart from them. And I never thought, I mean, in the beginning, you know, as soon as I made a pipe, I was itching to sell it. Um, but nowadays, it's really hard. The pipe that I'm making now, whenever I'm making them, I'm thinking to myself, maybe it's this one I'm going to keep. Yesterday's pipe, again, came out beautiful. Really, like I keep saying, I make the pipes in a way that I would like them. And I know what I like in a pipe, and it's that makes it even harder for me to let it go. LCS pipe 246er 246. Oh, you got the little black rusticated. Again, that one will smoke great. It's lightweight. Um, oh right, you're the Swiss guy, right? Are you? Are you the gentleman from Switzerland? I mean, not that you. I want to say that. I shouldn't have said that really, I suppose, but. All right, cool. So yeah, I mean, you should get that any day. That went off end of last week. No, earlier than that. It's been in the post probably for a good week now. You're a Miller and Turner. So you're what? You're turning metal stuff. How far back do my pictures go? They're all somewhere, and whether it's on Instagram or on my computer or on my phones. But to find them for aerospace, nice. That sounds really interesting, Gavin. Um, it would be a bit of a mammoth task to find them all. It would probably be easier for me to search on email and ask the people who bought them to send me copies. But to be honest with you, I don't have the time for that. I mean, no disrespect to anybody, but I just don't have the. Jack 245. You know, I think I would let it go. Um, you might need to make me a bit of a better offer, but other than that, I think I would let it go. I mean, it wasn't about the money really, but it was the price that kind of made it harder for me to depart. If that makes sense. Right, I'm just going to make a little bit of noise. It's actually a nice plateau. I'm going to sand a little bit of the edge. All right, Jack, we'll work something out. No worries. So any of you gone out, spent a stupid amount of money on Black Friday, Cyber Monday? Fell for it? Hook, line, and sinker? I spoke about it in my morning drive this morning. I really do think, for the most part, that it's a rip-off. The whole thing's just a marketing ploy. When do I think I might give a mirror a shot? I honestly couldn't say. It's not on my mind at the moment. You can get the blocks, but I don't really know the first thing about turning them and carving them and all that kind of jazz. And I'm still learning about briars, so I want to really focus on what I'm doing. I think that if I picked up a different type of material and started to get interested in that, then I'll just be having my finger in many broths without actually perfecting one of them, or in many pies, or whatever the saying is. Oh no, Gavin. And Lakeland's to boot. Cool, your life is challenging. Good day, Burley Nut Bob. Yes, Charlie, I think so too. It's the same with mortar as well. Although I've done a couple of mortar shank bands recently, but I think it's just about keeping focused, as you say, Charlie. Oh no, not a Lakeland fan, I'm afraid. The only Lakeland that I can just about tolerate once, perhaps once a year, is Ennerdale. Because that one, to me, has a bit of an almond essence to it, a bit of a... What's that biscuit with almonds in it? It tastes like... Bakewell tarts. To me, it tastes a bit like the Bakewell tarts. The Lakeland tends to come through a little bit later on, but to me, it's got quite a bit of an almond essence. Do you get almond essence in? Have you tried Ennerdale? It's got a bit of a marzipan-y flavour. So we just got a hint of a smooth inner edge, which I'm going to keep sanding. But first off, I'm going to relight my fire. You're my only desire. Relight my fire. 'Cause I need your love. Earl Grey tea. What ho, gentlemen? Jeeves, tea, please. All right, Charlie, have a good one. Thanks a lot for popping in. So I'm smoking with an N on the end, as the Europeans like to say. Romeo y Julieta, a White Churchill. I don't know why I'm behaving like I'm a bit high tonight. Maybe it's the new grandchild. I should go on X Factor, shouldn't I? X Factor. Anyway, so this is the White Churchill. Hey, Vangelis. When I first started getting into cigars about 5 years ago, I tried, I think it was Cedros number 3, Romeo Julieta, and I really didn't enjoy it. I found them to be really bland, and I knew nothing about cigars at that point. No, I'm not saying that I know much now, but I really didn't know anything about it, and they tasted pretty bitter, and I didn't realize that they were fresh off the shelf and probably hadn't aged very much at all. So I never really went back to Romeo and Juliet for a long time. And A. Chapman is my main sort of go-to smoke cigar. But recently, I've been smoking these White Churchills. About 2 years ago, I had 2 or 3 boxes of 10 from just the year that they were from. I don't remember which year it was. It might have been 2014 or 15. But they were sublime. They were phenomenal. And then I think I might have tried them again, and they weren't so great. I just now bought a few now, and they're only about a year old, but they taste fantastic. Oh man, Mel, you no idea how relieved I am. Fantastic. I'm really pleased to hear that, Mel. There's been, I would say, 3 or 4 customers who are waiting on packages for a long time, and I've been getting really nervous about them. So the fact that yours arrived hopefully means that theirs will arrive as well. So I'm very, very relieved about that. Thank you, Mel. No worries, Mel. Drive safe. I enjoyed your video, Mel, earlier today. I watched all the various projects you were in the middle of with interest. I don't know if you've done anything more with that pipe. You were asking what you should do. So yeah, I think you had two. One with a large scar on the front, and one which on the shank junction you said there was a little bit of something you were nervous about. And you also talked about the, was it you that was speaking about the Henry Mintzer style, or the Mintzer style, what's the name, the hefty pipes with the scars. I would say that that one with a scar on the front would be a prime uh, pipe to do that with, because the scar's already there, unless it goes right through, or if you haven't got much room in there's not enough thickness in the wall, then fine. But try and make a feature out of that scar, that crevice. Otherwise, just rusticate it, fill it with the sand, like you were talking about with that sandblasted pipe. Make a patch, fill it, and then rusticate it. Hey Eric, that's good. New, nothing yet. What? What's that, Tony? So the thing is with Cuban cigars is that it's just about the year that they're made. That was good news for Mel, but nothing on my end yet. Are you waiting for one as well, Tony? Oh right, are you Dodio? You know what I'm like with names. Ah, right, okay. Well, hopefully it was you that I was referring to when I said, now that Mel's got his, then hopefully means that you'll get yours eventually. I think yours went on the same batch as his. That's been in the mail, must be 3 or 4 weeks by now. So hopefully you'll get yours soon. I'm grateful for your patience. Not that I can do much about it, but still, I'd also be really, really impatient. I wouldn't be happy having to wait that long. So I totally get where you're coming from. Right, let's go up a grit. Let's get your grits. XJ, how you doing? That'll do, that'll do. The longest and hardest wait for a new pipe or tobacco, yeah. Yep. Especially if you order one, like if you have a pipe custom made, depending on who you're ordering from. Although I've matured a little bit in that area, being that I'm making pipes myself, perhaps subconsciously I've realised that you can't really blame them. But sometimes you got to wait so long. I've got one particular pipe from well, I won't say the name because it's not fair because it's taken so long, but an American carver, and it's been something like 3 months, 4 months. But he did say, I mean, he's a part-timer, so he works. He only does it in his spare time, and I said, fine, whenever it's done, no problem. Hey Tim. This one, Gavin. Well, if I don't keep it for myself, then it'll be available. I don't want to tempt fate, so I'm not going to say what star rating it's going to get, but it's going to be up there. You have a blessed rest of your week too, Burley, not Bob. I finally changed the black bag in my bin. That thing was overflowing like a volcano. It's just pure laziness because I've got to drag it through the house and out to the bin outside. No, Gavin, I didn't say I was keeping it for myself. I was just saying that this pipe, like the last 20 or 30 or so pipes, they're very hard for me to depart from. But if I don't sell them, then I ain't making a living. So if they go, they go. So by all means, you're welcome to buy it. Right, so let us continue. As they say, let's not count chickens. Let's get it done. Let's get it finished. And PG, everything will go smoothly. And then you can make a decision. So they started rolling out the vaccines here in the UK. They've sent them out to a few hundred different centres where they're going to be giving them out. But they're tempering and preparing people to realise that it's actually going to take quite a bit of time. And they're talking about January, February time for most people. That's most people in the first wave. The rest of us, we're probably talking about the middle of next year, I'd imagine, April, May time. I guess it depends how quickly they can get them made. I think they've only got 100 or a couple of 100,000, so which is nothing. It's a drop in the ocean, literally. Hey, Tree. There will be, there will be a bend in this for sure. It's basically made kind of with a 55 kind of shape idea. So it's got a flat bottom. So it's got a little bit of a chin there, but I've curved it round just to give it that Dublin shape. So that's going to be where it's going to be. That's its equilibrium. So that's going to be bent to be level with the top there. So it will have a bit of a bend. Hey Jeff. So this is where I'm up to. So we've got a nice clean plateau. It's got some lovely grain there and a nice exotic wood, which I don't know the name of yet, which has really also turned out fantastic. The joint there, it's absolutely phenomenal. Very clean joint. The favourite pipe I've made so far before this one, it's really hard because I forget. You know what my brain is like, so I forget. But the pipe I made yesterday is very deceptively cumbersome looking pipe, but I actually think it's one of the best designed pipes that I've made. And I'm very tempted to keep that pipe. But as I say, if it goes, it goes. But it's sorry to hear that, PVD. If it's still around in January, you'll be welcome to it. But the pipe I made yesterday, lengthwise, is right up my alley. It's a shame I haven't got it here to show you. It's upstairs. It's got a really interesting sort of angular bend on the shank. So it's sort of a bit of a sharpish angle where it turns up on the underside, but the top side has got a nice gentle curve. It's got a mortar shank band, also worked out very, very well. The bowl has got a great shape. It just, everything really clicked on that one. Very, very happy with it. But Kim, in terms of my favourite pipe, well, for me, it would be, for now, in terms of the ones that I smoke, it used to be a Rhodesian, which was one of my favourite pipes that I'd made quite early on, and not the best shaping in the world, probably about a year or two ago, a year and a half ago, not 2 years. But one of my followers on Instagram really took a shining to it and sort of wore me down, and I sold it to them eventually. But right now, in terms of smokability, is the apple, the Danish style apple, which I use for Northwoods. That's probably my favourite smoking pipe of my pipes. And in terms of shaping and just as a almost like a turning point, one of the, I've gone through many turning points, but one of the turning points in my evolution as a pipe maker has got to be that small little one that I made as a nod to Jeff Graysick. You know, the one that I made with the white faux ivory band. That was the first band that I had a modicum of success with, without using a metal lathe. It's not perfect, that one, but it was the best one I'd made up until that time. And that one, for me, in terms of shaping, the fact that I set out to make a precisely shaped and sized pipe based on a video that I'd watched between Jeff Graysick and Shane Ireland, and the pipe that they were talking about was based on a shape made by Yes Chonovitz. And for me, the pipe just worked. It just turned out fantastic. And so for me, that one, in terms of shaping, in terms of evolution as a pipe maker, in terms of sort of it coming out exactly as I wanted, probably that one. But yesterday's pipe is going to give all of them a run for their money, in terms of the pipes that any of the pipes that I've made, not necessarily pipes that I'm smoking. Hey Boris. Yeah, Jack, it's that one you've probably heard me say is sort of shaped after the Everson style of apple, of having that. You know, I don't usually like to mix up rustication with, you know, you get sometimes, especially the Danish pipe makers, you see the freehands, and they've got all sorts of patterns, leaves and branches and stuff like that, that randomly placed. Soren Refberg was well known for that. And to me, no disrespect to their style, but to me, hi Daniel, but to me, it's the ugliest thing in the world, because it's obviously that little leaf which has been placed randomly is just to cover a floor. And for me, whatever I do in a pipe, however I make it, my design, my symmetrical eye doesn't allow me to do something which doesn't have balance. My mind is very balanced, and it's just got to be, it's got to have a design balance to it. So if I'm going to rusticate it, I will have to rusticate it either a whole section of the pipe, so that means either the whole shank or the whole bowl, or even if it's not the whole bowl, but it would have to have a design which ran all the way around. I just can't, I just can't stand those where they've got literally a random little speck which has been rusticated. To me, it doesn't work for me at all. Um, how did I get onto that point? Oh yeah, so that's why. So I don't usually mix and match, but where it's a whole section, yeah, which is like the first time I saw it. Hmm, I'm embarrassed to show you this pipe. Right, Jack. Ooh, a brownie, nice. Um, I made this pipe a long time ago. I don't remember how long ago. Very, very early on, and this was my first nod to an Everson pipe. So Lars Everson makes this acorn style pipe where you've got this section which is supposed to be the twig, and then you've got the acorn coming out of it. So this was my version of that a long time ago, and it's a very, very poor example, but I was very proud of it at the time. And we're talking, you know, probably 18 months ago or something like that. This would have been probably something like my 15th or 20th pipe, something like that, in that region, and maybe a bit more. I've got the stem somewhere. Um, so, so this was where this was born for me. It's really trying to mimic that idea of having a separate section with a nice smooth bowl coming out of it, and that's where that idea was born. So for me, it was definitely Aussie inspiration, and it's you know, the more I do them, the better I get at them. The last one that I did was, for me, was just spot on. It sold very quickly, and then I got a commission to do, which obviously sold as well. Shirts and ties, don't mix up the patterns. Look strange. Yeah, it's not so much the patterns or anything like that. It's just when you've got a smooth pipe and you have one random spot, not in the top, not in the bottom, not in the middle, but just random, it's obviously covering up a floor. I mean, obviously they're not hiding that fact either, but without balancing it and creating a pattern and have maybe a mirror image on the other side of that pattern or something to make it balanced, it just grates on my brain. It just doesn't work for me. Anyway, enough of that. Almost turning into a rant. So, in terms of a stain, I would have to, I mean, it could be a very light stain, a couple of little black spots, which I'd like to absorb in a stain. So I could go for my standard stain, which will look fantastic, and I've got no doubt about that. And to be honest with you, this would take an awesome sandblast as well. You probably can't see it. I don't know if you can see those horizontal lines there. There, you can see that one probably, because I can see it in the screen, and that one there. But the whole thing is covered in them, ring grain from top to bottom. But I don't have a sandblaster, and the guy that I used to send my pipes to get sandblasted has stopped sandblasting. So at the moment, I can't sandblast pipes. I just saw the time, 11 o'clock. I can't believe it. Cigar lighter, where are you? There you go. I still haven't had my supper. I had a little job earlier on, so I had to go out at supper time. By the time I came back, I was in the middle of this pipe, and I just wanted to break the back of the pipe. And I don't know if I'll finish it still tonight. Maybe I will. It's getting a bit late. But I do like to finish off a pipe and then start something fresh. Cigar on an empty stomach, yeah. That would be amazing. What's that, PVD? What are you referring to? It's a relatively light cigar, the Romeo and Juliet, although it's starting to get strong now. I'm going to have a bit of a sweet drink. Aloe vera. Hello, Vera. How you doing? Oh, right, the sandblast. Yeah, it would be. But to be honest, the grain on this one is too good, even for sandblasting. Although I like sandblasting in of itself, uh, sandblasting really evolved as a type of rustication almost to cover up flaws in the briar. But for me, sandblasting done well, it's a beautiful thing in itself. When I say done well, talking about somebody like Jim Cook, those kind of things. Um, Michael Parks. There's some people who do phenomenal sandblasting. I haven't seen any great British sandblasters, I have to be honest. although the guy that I sent them to actually did some beautiful jobs. I'll take that back. I think his sandblasting is actually excellent. Hey John, how you doing? Daniel, how are you? We were just talking about this pipe, whether it would be stained or not, and the grain is just so good on it. I think I'll probably have to stain it. I think I will probably have to stain it and make the most of it. I do worry about these wood bands because I'm not. I've only just started using these bands, and so I'm not so fully conversant with the properties of each of these types of wood. So I don't know how absorbent it will be. So even though yesterday's, for instance, the mortar, that one was fine. So I put tape on it as accurately as I can. So when I stain it, you know, the briar absorbs. So even if I stain it really accurately, there's still a bit of bleed, and it will still get in there. And I just don't know whether it will absorb it to the extent that I won't be able to get it out again. And I don't want to have to start sanding it all over again and then repeating that process. So it's what I did yesterday was when I did the staining, I almost stopped short very slightly, and it bled enough just to get to the edge. It was okay. I wouldn't stain the band. The whole point of this band is it's a beautiful exotic wood. You can't see it so well there, but the grain in it is just astonishing. So I wouldn't want to mar that in any way, shape or form. I want that beauty to come out in all its natural glory. Yeah, the symmetry is what it's all about. Just to make a Dublin for me, it's very nice. I do them plenty of times, but it has to just shout to me. It's got to talk to me, and that's why I've done a bit of a chin. So it's like a blend between a 55 and a Dublin. So it's got a few things going for it. I've got that at bottom, so it'll be a sitter. Although by the time I've put the bend on it, I'm not sure whether that will be a sitter actually. But the bend should be quite shallow. The plateau is very clean. So yeah, there's a lot going for this pipe. But I wouldn't stain, not intentionally. I wouldn't want to stain the band. Right, I think we're going to go up to 600 and start getting it ready for a stain. Let me just carry on this for a bit. When I was making the band, when I took it off when I finished drilling the hole, there was a little chip, so I had to sand it down to get it smooth again, and that took quite a long time because I didn't want to ruin the shape of the band. And in the old days, I would have been so impatient, I would have just gone onto the sanding wheel and done it and probably wrecked it. But these days, I've gotten used to the idea that sanding is a very, very important part of the pipe. In actual fact, in terms of the finish of the pipe, it's the most important part of it, the hand sanding. It's where you get a feel for any undulations in the surface, that kind of thing. So a really, really important part of how the pipe comes together. Do I sand out the ball as well? Sometimes. If I get a lot of stain inside it, then nowadays I do. I didn't used to bother because after the first smoke, you're not seeing anything. But it's really about something Mike said to me. It's about having a professional approach and having a professional finish, clean lines. So the last couple of pipes I have actually sanded the inside of the bowl, but I don't believe in a smooth bowl. Many pipes that I've bought myself as smooth as a baby's bottom, and I don't believe in that. I actually like to have a bit of a rough surface, not uneven. It's got to be an even surface, but just unsanded. And for me, I think that helps with adhesion for the cake. I think it actually makes for a better start to the cake. It's like when you're gluing two surfaces, you rough it up with sandpaper just to aid the adhesion, because you've got peaks and troughs. It makes it a little bit 3D, and that just helps things. It's like Velcro, you know. So I generally, unless I have to sand it, I don't. If it's clean, then I'll usually leave it. So although I want to make my pipes as beautiful as possible, ultimately they're smoking pipes. They're not made to sit on somebody's shelf. You know, I'm not charging £1,000 for them, so they're there to be smoked. And from that point of view, I want the cake to be the best that it can be. I want it to break in as well as possible. And so therefore, for me, I'd rather leave it that little bit rough so the cake can start building straight away. 1820 flake. Well, Jack, if you do, if we sort out a deal, remind me in the email, and I'll send you some. If you're desperate for it. Have you tried it before? To be honest, I thought that they would make a drop in time for Christmas. It's getting a bit late. So yeah, I hope they do it soon. Oh, I see. Yeah. So, Jack, just let me know if and when you decide. Then just remind me, and I'll send you some. You'd be better off calling them. Whenever I want anything from them, I phone them. Email, they're not great on technology, from what I can tell. And you're most likely to speak to Robert Germain. Every time I've called, he's always picked up the phone. Yeah, and the popular ones are not available at the moment. You can still get special Latakia flake though. Have you tried that one, Jack? Will be my pleasure, John, whenever you're ready. You tried that one. What did you think of it, Jack? Which one do I rate higher? At the moment, I would say Special Latakia Flake, simply because the 1820 is still a bit young. Although it's getting better every time I smoke it. The one I've got is about a year and a half old. It's from when it was released, which is about April, June, something like that in 2019. That's when it was first released. I bought. I knew it would go quickly, so I probably bought something like half a pound or something like that. I've got it in one of the larger jars, and it's phenomenal. I mean, to watch it age. The first inch, an inch and a half of the tobacco is white. It's turned white, literally turned white, with the sort of sugars and stuff like that crystallizing on the surface of the tobacco. Go down lower where the oxygen is not getting to it, it stays black. But there's obviously it's really high quality tobacco, that's for sure, as you'd expect. This junction here also I spend a lot of time on. I like the way I've kind of got to this kind of shape, which is almost standard on a lot of my pipes. You know, people often ask me, do I have a signature look to my pipes? Some people say that they already recognize my staining, which is nice. But for me, if anybody was to ask me, do I have, I think it would be, at the moment, this junction here. Hey DB, how you doing? The fact that you're so late beggars belief. So if you're asking me Special Latakia or 1820, at the moment I would say Special Latakia flake. But Special Latakia flake, it's quite a, I've said this many times in my videos, I find it to be quite a, you've got to prepare it right. If you prepare it right and you relax and you're in the right frame of mind and you're not smoking it whilst you're mowing the lawn kind of thing, then it's a sublime smoke. You want it to be a bit aged, and I've got 3 or 4 different jars from different years which I age so that I can do it in rotation. So by the time I finish one jar, the next one is already 2 or 3 years old. And I advise any of you guys, if you've got any non-aromatics that you know are your favorites, it's one of your go-to blends, do that. Each year, get yourself whatever amount it is that you get through. And so in the first year, you'll have to double up in order to start doing that process. I've done that with Northwoods, I've done that with Special Latakia Flake, I've done that with All It Golden Sliced, and I'm doing it now with a McBaron Vanilla Cream. Each year, get yourself a stock, and as you smoke through it, when you finish one jar, by the time you got to the next jar, it's already got at least a year on it. My next jar of Special Latakia Flake is from 2018, so it's got 2, maybe 3 years on it, and it just makes such a big difference. So anytime people ask me now about what they should do cellaring wise, I say go deep and not wide, meaning don't go for variety so much, go for depth of your cellar, get more of what you like, because tobacco apocalypse, we don't know if it will come, but it may well come, and you don't want to get caught short. And rather than spending £500 in a go buying tobacco just each month or every so often, I'll get to your question in a minute, Daniel. Let me just finish the one I'm on. Rather than spending £500 in a go, just every month or so, or whenever it is you can afford it, whether it's weekly or monthly or 2 monthly, whatever it is, just get a couple of tins, put them away, and just try and build up your cellar in a way which isn't painful. A bit like the toilet paper. Don't wait for the lockdown and then you can't get it. Just each week I tell my wife, buy an extra packet of toilet paper, and that's what we've been doing. And this past lockdown, we didn't go shopping, we didn't have to do anything. Oh, cool. Nice one, beggars. GoPro, I don't use a GoPro cameras, Daniel. So the short answer is no. I know Mike tried it out with this mouth contraption. I couldn't believe he was actually doing that, but not my kind of thing. 1820 is what I say is a decaf version of Penzance. It may well be 2 or 3 years down the line that it will be the same richness, but for some reason, even when you get a fresh Penzance, it's still richer than 1820 fresh. So I think it's just a lighter version, possibly made for British tastes. I don't know, because I've noticed that cigars, the UK regional edition cigars, Cuban cigars, are also a little bit lighter than some of the European ones, and certainly the Middle Eastern ones in sort of the Arabic countries. They like the tobacco really strong. So if you get from Lebanon, for instance, they get regional editions every so often, and those ones are known to be really strong. I haven't tried 10 Russians, no. Hey, Stabby. I haven't had 10 Russians. Is that which brand is that? Is that GLP's? La Gloria Cubana Britannicas. Is that the recent one? I've definitely had the one. Is that the long sort of Panatella style one, long thin one? Lancero type one? I think I have had it, yeah. I may have a video on my channel with it. Not sure. The Perfecto 2020, no, then I haven't had it. What's the ring gauge? Captain L's, yep, sorry. It's funny how La Gloria 48, La Gloria Cubana was almost off the scene in the Cuban world, but they've come back. They made a bit of a comeback in the last couple of years. Before that, the La Gloria Cubana I had was the Maestros, I think, which was a limited, a regional edition from I don't know how long ago, but that was a fantastic cigar. Ceylani aged burley is a very, very well regarded tobacco. I think I've got one flake left in my tin, which has been in my tupperware for probably about 3 years. Not a big burley fan, but I never really gave it enough concentration, that particular one, because people say that that particular one is exceptional, and it's not the typical burley type flavor, so I should really give that another go at some point. There you go, Juicy says that. Juicy concurs. What is this? Oh, we're still on 400. We're supposed to be 6. 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. Lots of scraps of paper flying around. Here we go. Robert McConnell Scottish Flake. I have smoked that. I do have an open tin of it, but I don't recall really much about it. When I did smoke it, I wasn't that blown away by it, although a lot of people absolutely love it. I'd have to really smoke it again to recall the flavors. Ciao Sandro, my friend, how you doing? How do you say my friend? Is it mia amore or is that my love, isn't it? How do you say my friend? Compadre. Is that right? Mio amico, mio amico, mio amico. 2 vowels, that makes it a little bit difficult actually. Mio amico. I suppose that shortens into mio amico. There you go, Sandro. That's today's pipe. Really nice grain on it. Really not sure what this wood band is, but it's gorgeous. It's got a nice clean plateau as well. There's not much more to do, but with sanding, you know that you could just keep going. It's never ending really. I mean, this is 600 I'm doing now. You know, I could quite easily spend the next hour going up to 800 and 1,000, but 600 is already more than a lot of pipe makers do. Unless you're talking about, you know, the high-end pipes which are going for thousands of pounds. But I believe Ian Walker, for instance, I think he goes to 400, if I'm not mistaken, and his pipes are fantastic. I really like his pipes. I'll show you that in a second, PVD. Give me a minute. Let me just finish this 600. can't tell you how chuffed I am with the way the bands have been going. I'm not blowing my own trumpet, but it's just something I'm really delighted with. It really does mean that for now at least I don't have to go out and buy a metal lathe, which I really, really thought I had to do to go up to the next level. The drill holder, I think it's HS Tools actually, funnily enough, it just came into my mind. Try HS Tools here in the UK. I'm sure if you Google it, it'll come up anyway. Just write drill bench clamp or something like that. Let me know if it is. Have a quick look on HS Tools. Alright, let's do a little bit of wetting. Ooh, Haddo's Delight will give you a richer smoke than Old Gowrie, I think. That's just my personal opinion. Check out the grain. Look at that band. Look how much richer that band looks, the contrast of it. Thank you. Right, I'm going to give it a buff. Give me a minute. Oh dear me. I had a problem with my chuck actually. My chuck seized up yesterday, right in the middle of doing this pipe. I took it apart, greased it all up, and I've managed to get a bit of movement, which is roughly in the area that I need for the blocks, but it's going to seize up again. I got in touch with the maker today, so I've got to send it back. I think I'm gonna, before I send it back, I'm gonna wait till I can spare the money to buy a second one, so that I don't have to stop making a pipe in the meantime. And it's probably always good to have a backup, like having a backup camera, I guess. Right, be with you in half a tick. Obviously that's still got to be bent, but look at that band. I've only done a cursory sort of buffing of the stem, still got to do all that. The stem's shaped and the bit is fanned out and sort of the V slot is all done. A little bit of smooth inside edge. So that's roughly where it will be, and then it will be bent back. The band, yeah, I'm kind of in two minds now about, because the band actually looks well with the pipe being left as it is, just being left natural. Because of that sort of yellow and black, it actually works perfectly in the middle of the black and the yellow. That's almost yellow kind of idea, and it's just the perfect divider, if you like, between these two colors. Any color I put on that will never work as well. Nothing that I do will actually work as well as that balance. So I either just go for a contrast staining with my usual stain, or I leave it natural. The good thing about natural is I can leave it natural and see if it sells, and I can always revise that and stain it. So that's certainly a way I can go, without a doubt. I'll probably put a shellac on the outer side of the plateau just to shine it up a little bit, and then just leave this inner ring smooth. And I think that's it. So I think I'm actually gonna sand it to 800, seeing as I'm not staining it, and we'll see how it goes, and then we'll bend it and it's done. I will probably make this a 2-star. It could be a 3, but I'll probably make it a 2-star. A couple of tiny little pin dots, little black pin dots. They're not sand pits as such, they're just spots. So, you know, if I want to be a bit of a perfectionist, I would perhaps hold it back from being a 3-star. Sunmore, okay. Where's my pad? I like to write down anything that I hear, which is worth noting. Sunmore lathe. I'll look at it at some point. Right, I do believe I've got some 800 lying around. That's 1,000. I'll do a bit more 600 and maybe jump to 1,000. I'm going to put shellac just on the outer edge of the plateau, just to give it a bit of a shine. No worries, DB. because what happens is otherwise is that the plateau gets dirty. It's going to get dirty anyway when you smoke it, but so that's why I've smoothed this inner edge so that you could always wipe that clean. But in case you do get a little bit of scorching on the plateau itself, if it's got a shellac, it'll protect it a little bit. Some people don't like the idea of smoking the shellac. That's why I've done a smooth edge. So I'll only shellac around it, but not on the actual edge, the inner edge where you're going to light the pipe. Definitely the bands, it does raise the game. There's no doubt about that. And as I said earlier on, at the risk of over-egging the mix, the realization that I can make the bands without having to have bought a metal lathe is really a big moment for me. And I can't overstress that, because it just opens up the design elements of the pipes. And having a band sometimes just is the difference between a mediocre pipe and a top-notch pipe. It just gives you another option from a design perspective, and it just lifts the whole thing. I could have made exactly the same pipe without the band, and it would just look like a nice plateau Dublin, and it would have probably sold and whatever, but just having that bit of exotic wood, and I chose a very grainy part of the wood, so it has the maximum visual effect, and it's definitely doing its job. Not cheap either, these exotic woods. Don't remember what they cost, but I remember that it wasn't cheap either for a small little block, which I can probably only make about 3 rings out of it if I'm lucky. It is a really nice block of briar, yeah. The interesting thing is when you start off with a block, this is another similar kind of block. So this one here, really nice tight burl, and I don't know if you can see that, the grain there looks awesome. So that will also make a nice pipe, but that's what this started off. So you've got a huge block like that, and you kind of think to yourself, I've got to make a big pipe out of it. But what a big block like this gives you is options. Number one is to follow the grain and to make the best shape that you can with the grain, and it just gives you room to play. Very nice grain. So that hopefully will be a nice pipe. Hopefully I won't get any nasty shocks as I go on into the block. The silver band here, it's a German silver band, very, very, very slightly raised compared to the stem and the band, so that protects the edges. That's kind of as I was doing it, I kind of decided to leave it. I could have sanded it more and made it absolutely. I mean, we're talking about nanometers here, but there is a very slight raise to it, which I think is actually a pretty good idea, just to protect the edges. What are we? 400, 320. And the back, the problem that I had, although the origin of it might be in the back, but I didn't so much have a backache. It was my side, my left side, my left, literally from the waist down. My leg has been numb, and it still is. It's not as bad as it was, but the numbness hasn't gone away. And it's just like every step you take, it's like, to some extent, stepping on a sponge. And it's just uncomfortable. It's not so much pain anymore, thankfully. It's just uncomfortable. And because of the issues that I've been having, so I've been kind of putting more weight on the other leg. And the left leg I've not really been using as much, and I think I'm getting a little bit of muscular atrophy. And I think that I need to really start exercising it and building it up again. And I think once I do that, it'll probably sort it out. Thank you, PVD. This is the thing with sanding. Once you start on another region, I've got to go over the band again now. Gonna have to go through the grits because I want it to be in line with the stem. Don't you just love the smell of sulfur? The first time I sanded an ebonite stem, I was grossed out. It's a little bit akin to the first time I tried Latakia. But you get used to it. You get used to anything if you're exposed to it long enough. Yeah, it took me a while to fall in love with Latakia. Thank you, Sandra. Yes, Daniel asked me that question before. It's actually a bit difficult to pin down because of you evolve all the time. So it's kind of almost easy to say the last pipe that I made. That's not true every time, but in terms of the pipe that I smoke, it's the Danish style apple that I smoke northwards in. And in terms of the pipes that I've made, which are not for myself, would be the small little. I don't know what shape you'd call that actually. Hey, Michael. And that is an exaggeration, I'm afraid. Definitely not a master pipe maker. I'm really at the very, very first baby steps of making pipes. And I see what some of the other guys make. I kind of feel humbled. But I'm not aiming for that. You see, I'm not aiming to make a nano Everson pipe for $15,000. I really am not. I'm aiming to make. There's the art side of it, and there's the practical smoking side of it. And I'm kind of doing my best to combine the two. And I'll just see how it evolves. I'm not rushing anything. I'm not pushing myself into pigeonholing myself into any type of particular style. My main motivation, as I keep saying, is I make pipes that I would like myself. And I make them with features that I think are important when I look for a pipe. And hopefully you find an audience who shares that. Hey Fats, how you doing? Woodwork I enjoyed in school, Tim, but I was never good at it because I didn't have the patience. But hand sanding has taught me patience. I used to hate hand sanding, and now it's just another part of it which I no longer avoid. A nice little saddle. Louisiana Blackwater Fly. Oh dear, Tim. Well, age does a funny thing, and at different junctures in your life, you just take on a new existence, and it's the same as changing your tobacco tastes. It's always worth revisiting stuff. You never know; you might suddenly become addicted to something new. Favorite part of making a pipe? That's a good question. Selling it, I think. Although recently that's been my worst part of the making a pipe. Worst and best, that's a real Marmite moment. It's a love and hate relationship. I hate selling pipes that I like, but sell I must. Put it this way, if I don't sell the pipes, then I can't buy more materials. And during this pandemic, when I'm virtually doing no photography, it's really kept a roof over my head. It's no exaggeration. And that's something I'll always be grateful for. The timing of it, you know, having started it a couple of years ago, enough time just about to develop my skills enough to be able to sell the pipes on a reasonable basis, reasonably regularly, made a huge difference to me. Absolutely, Sandro. Spot on. Yeah, absolutely, Tim. It's I was very nervous about that, but it's been. I mean, I would say that now in the run up to Christmas, it has gone very quiet. The pipes, you know, they're not selling as well as they have done in the past, but that's to be expected. But I've got some nice estate pipes going to be coming on soon, so I hope that will boost things. We'll do a video with some of those as soon as I've got 3 more coming from one seller, so hopefully that will arrive in the next day or 2, and then I'll put the sale video together, so hopefully that'll bring some revenue. So we've got the bit shaped. Give it another quick blast on the buffer. Just give me a sec. Hey, Rockin' Steady, how you doing? Do I ever sleep? That's a good question. Last night I was doing granddaughter duty. I gave my daughter a chance to sleep, and son-in-law. So I had the baby from midnight to till 4:30 in the morning. So I had her on my chest and just lying with me, and I stayed on the couch. I nodded off here and there, but yeah. So you're right. I don't do enough sleeping. So that's where we're at the moment. I haven't carnaubered it yet. I'll do that after I finish bending. And then after that, I will put the shellac on the top. Thank you, Sandra. Hey, Wheel Piper. Just by the way, even though it's got a 9mm chamber in there, all the way through with the pipe cleaner, which you wouldn't be able to do normally when you smoke it with a filter, but still, just shows you it's drilled right anyway. Hey, Boris. Let's get that out of the way. There it is. Dusty. All right, next is DB, thanks for joining. Sandra. Didn't see that one until Tim remarked. You can lie on my chest anytime, Sandra. As long as you're not holding a cello or trumpet at the time. Okay. Right, Right, this pipe is basically done. Just a very dusty environment here, so. And that's that. I'll probably give it. It is the same color. It's supposed to be, James. It's just shellac. There's no coloring in it. So I'm going to leave this to dry overnight to cure, and then I'll buff it. No worries, Tim. Right, that's going up on a peg. I don't know if you saw this one. I made this. This is pipe 235, and I re-rusticated it. It's a nice pipe as well. Beautiful dimensions. It needs another layer of shellac as well, so I'm just going to do that. All right, everybody's got different tastes, John. If you want it, you know my email address, lcsbriars@gmail.com. This is acrylic Cumberland. This type of rustication or carving I really like because it creates lots of sharp edges, jagged edges, and they catch the light really nicely. That's that one on the peg, and I think that's it. I've got a pipe here which has been sitting in my workshop for a long time. This one is actually not 9mm. This was an army mount, a push fit stem, but I haven't really decided what to do with it. It's a nice volcano shape, a nice grain. Really nice bird's eye. But I just have to get my head around what I want to do with this pipe. I'm thinking of putting a briar insert or a different type of wood and maybe make a band or something and make it 9mm. Cheers, Tim. I'm going to head off as well in a minute. It's late enough. I'm going to let the shellac just harden up a little bit, and then I'll do my video before the night ends. And if any of you guys want that pipe, then hit me up, lcsbriars@gmail.com. It'll be a 2-star pipe, and I'll probably be looking for about $195 for it, plus shipping. So it remains for me just to say thank you to everybody. Thank you, Jack. Thank you, Tree. Thank you, 907. Thank you, James. Thank you, Sandro. Ciao. Thank you, Tim. Tree. Rocking Steady. Signalman Tony. Rhode Island. Excuse me. Get your masks on, everybody. Boris. John. Pipin. Corporal. DB is gone. And everybody else. Thanks very much, everybody. It's been a pleasure as always. Thanks for joining me, keeping me company while I freeze my proverbials off. Hey, Brad. Email sent. Coolio. Thank you very much, everybody. I will catch you on the very next one. It's been a pleasure as always.